Okay, fantastic. I think everyone's starting to come in now, which is great. Happy Thursday to everyone. Uh, Thursday is the new Friday, everybody tells me, in terms of most people being in the offices and stuff, and Thursday nights in the bars. So thanks for coming along and spending your Thursday lunchtime with us. Um, Nick, who's our CTO at Vidatec, and myself are delighted to be able to welcome you along for this session today. Um, we want to make this a nice, informal kind of chat with Nick and myself. We've got you guys on listen mode only at this moment in time, but please ask questions. You see the Q&A part down the bottom of your screen. Please ask questions. We'll do our best to address them on today's call. I know some of you have asked questions leading into today that we'll do our best to cover off as well. Anything we don't get to today, we will be preparing a follow-up Q&A piece so that everybody can see the questions and answers that have been provided. But hopefully we can lean in and have a bit of fun around what is obviously continues to be a hot topic in terms of AI at this moment in time. Before I delve into a little bit around AI and we get Nick to share the pearls of his wisdom around his experiences that he's been building both with our clients and in terms of what we're doing at Vidatec with AI. Some of you are fairly new to Vidatec, so I just wanted to take a minute or two to position who we are and kind of what we do to be fair. The starting point for me always when I'm talking about Vidatec is the purpose for our organisation. And you can see in the screen here, it's all about having that positive impact and improving experience through technology. We want to create digital products that support people and enhance life rather than digital products that dominate them or kind of take over. And that's what gets us out of bed in the morning. And AI is a fairly good one to talk about in that sense as well. From our perspective, we've been around for over 16 years, so we're an experienced business in creating digital products. It's kind of interesting because we started as a mobile app development company, and our founder basically went, I think there's something in these app things. And we helped organizations for years work out a mobile strategy, how to use mobile as a channel. And we branched out them into building web platforms, into the Microsoft space and things like that. But it feels like we're in a very similar position now with AI as we were with kind of mobile back in the day in terms of we're all still trying to work through that journey together and understand what's the right path for each of us to take when it comes to the use of AI. Here's an example of some of the companies we work with. And the only reason I'm sharing this is the fact of it doesn't matter if you are a global organization or you're just trying to scale up from being a small organization. There's a path that's right for you, and we support organizations of all shapes and sizes there. So some of these are household names, some of them you won't know. But as I say, it's more about the fact of you don't need to think about constantly having a multi-million-pound budget to be able to progress things from an AI perspective. It'd be lovely if you did have a multi-million-pound budget. We'll happily accept some of that. But at the same time, you don't need that to be able to make advancements and support the right journey for your customers, your guests, whatever. Here's some of the solutions that we've created for customers over the years, just to give you a flavour of some of the depth. We're probably best known for the one in the middle, which is Couch to 5K. We've been doing that for a number of years about how do you nudge and support people on a journey. And I think it's a brilliant example of how we support people on a journey with a physical experience through a digital capability. So we'll come back to that and talk more about some of the products as we go through the piece. So that's kind of the initial part, a little bit about Vidatec. What I wanted to do was if I came out and stopped sharing the show for a little second, I wanted to jump now to a little bit of a poll to do the kind of participation from the audience and see what we've got here. So I want to launch this one first of all, and this is about what's your current mindset when it comes to your approach to AI. So we've given some options here in terms of are you excited? Are you curious? Are you already using it a lot and feel you're pretty strong in it? Or you're a bit fatigued constantly hearing about it, not quite sure where to start? Where are you? I'll just give that a wee second or two. We've got a lot of answers coming through. Brilliant. So that is everyone answered. Quite a different experience across the group here, to be fair, which is great. We've got somebody who we've got some people that are saying that they're really proficient, so you should be able to see that now. In terms of there's some people who are excited and want to learn to use AI better. Almost half of us are curious but cautious around it, and that could be a number of factors. We'll delve into that in a second. Um, Good, almost a quarter of you are already using it and feel you're quite proficient. So if you want to take over the webinar at any point, just give us a shout and let us know. And then, there are some people who are feeling a bit fatigued and hearing about it. So we'll try and cover all these things as we go through the next little 20 minutes or so. If I go back and start another poll, this time it's less about your readiness, it's more about the organisation that you're in's readiness to go. So I've got that there. So how confident are you in your organisation's readiness to use AI tools effectively today? So this could be about tech capability, this could be about data structure, this could be about skill sets within the business. Let's see what we've got there as a spread across the teams. Okay, so we're getting there. Very interesting results coming in so far. That's everybody kind of answered to some extent. So I will share the results now, if you can see that. So, good. A third are very confident in your readiness to use it. So it'll be interesting to understand the capabilities that sit alongside that. Probably, what's that? Almost half, though, are feeling not very confident or not confident at all. So hopefully what we can do today through what Nick and I share is provide a bit of a framework to help you guys in terms of get that confidence or at least know where to start. And then those who are slightly further along the journey, I'd like to think that we can give you some bits and pieces that you can build on and evaluate where you're at and how you can improve. The old saying, we don't need to be able to be better. So how do we do that as part of our AI journey? Because today, AI is the worst it's going to be. It's going to improve and go forward. So how do we improve and go forward with it? So stop sharing that, and I'll come back out and share the screen again with a couple of slides to help navigate some of the conversation. Bear with me 2 secs. There we go. So, in terms of the first time we talked about doing this session, we thought about the title, which was about AI fatigue. In terms of there's a number of things that are happening out there just now. So maybe some of the projects that have been implemented aren't getting the ROI that people want. Some of them maybe aren't getting the adoption that you want across the people because they're maybe a bit fatigued or a bit scared about AI taking their job. Maybe the data is not set up in the right way. People are using AI in their personal lives, and it's maybe not as good an experience in the workplace with the tools that are available, etc. But there's lots of things that are causing a bit of fatigue just now. And in essence, when we talk about AI projects, it really isn't any different than the majority of big transformation projects. The lion's share focuses on the people. So these are results from a survey that BCG, Boston Consulting Group, did earlier this year. And they're saying that 70% of the AI transformation really needs to focus on the people and the process. So that's about their capabilities, making sure the right systems are in place to support them, etc. 10% is only the algorithms, and 20% is the actual technology stack to support the business needs. So as I keep on saying to Nick and taking the mic a little bit, the tech's the easy part, right? It's about the people and the processes that tend to be a bit more challenging. Would you agree, Nick? Tech's the easy part?
I think that's fair. I mean, a lot of the tools and technologies we use are sort of proven, so getting those in place is part of the job. But I think, as Ross says, a lot of it is actually having the subject matter experts that understand your content and your data within your business, and that helps you to leverage the benefits of AI and prompt it to be able to give you the right outputs.
So against that backdrop in terms of what people are seeing, if it's 70% of the projects are people, when you see adverts like this, the kind of heart sinks a little bit. And I know the chief exec of Artisan came out and said this was a little bit of kind of clickbait type as a campaign. but that feels a little bit like one of the kind of celebrities that said something and is apologising the next day. If you're on your way to work, and this was the London Underground, this was taken on, and you see those messages, you know, subliminally, what's that doing to you thinking about AI as somebody in the implementation? And then alongside that, we've seen plenty of headlines in recent months around job cuts linked to AI. And there's no doubt that efficiencies are there through AI that can take some of the manual tasks, and there may be risk to some jobs through AI. But I also think this is one of these ones where you don't want to waste a good crisis with organizations kind of putting a lot of blanket changes under the AI bucket to push them through. But again, the kind of fears that employees might have about AI are real and might put up some barriers towards adoption or thinking about it properly. So it'll be interesting to go through this kind of next phase to see the tips that we give around trying to deal with that in a better manner. There was some language earlier this year which was talking about AI first, and that kind of jarred with me a little bit when I saw the language about AI first. And we saw some pushback and blowback on organizations like Duolingo, who came out and said, we're an AI first organization. Two things that's interesting. One, customers reacted to that. They felt that they were noticing a poorer experience through AI than previously. And second of all, the blowback they're talking about was mainly from their customers. It wasn't talking about what did it mean to sit in an organization and hear we're at AI first as an employee. So there's an angle there that we need to think about in terms of, you know, when Amazon are talking about cutting jobs for AI, etc. What does that mean if you're sitting as a worker at Amazon? If you actually look at what AI first means, I don't think any of it's bad at all. You know, we talk about wanting to be in a position where we're making data-driven decisions. And I know we've got some data people as part of the setup today. You know, I think we'd all want to make better decisions through data. If we talk about power and automation through AI, how do we take away some of those repetitive manual tasks that people don't enjoy doing? Again, great opportunity to do that. How do we look at the products and the services that we provide and enhance them through AI, make them better experiences overall for people? Again, that by ticking the box, great, let's explore that. And then how do we get to a stage where we're continuously learning and improving? AI is going to adjust and move. We've seen massive shifts in the last 12 months around its capability. So fast forward 12 months, what does that mean? So we need that continuous learning and improvement piece in there. And it's all about trying to drive a new culture. So those things would probably come under the majority of the buckets you would put in for transformational changes, just with that AI flavor. So what we at Vidatec were saying was, we want to be people first with an AI mindset. So how do we engage our customers, our guests, our members, whatever the outreach is you're trying to do, and how do we engage our employees with more of that AI mindset as we go forward? We've got a little bit of your view on where you are just now as an organization, your state of readiness in the early part. And we kind of put people into three different categories as organizations. Who are the ones that are still kind of looking, still thinking about doing stuff? Who are the ones that are starting to build out some strategy and starting to look at the capabilities within the organizations? And who are the ones that are much more mature, where a good number of people say that they feel that they're in this kind of, probably in that AI builders into AI first movers at this moment in time, being far more strategic with it. Nick, is there anything you would say about those different types of organization from an AI sense in terms of your experience of dealing with people at different stages?
Yeah, I think broadly there will be people who have had exposure to different sets of tools. I think a lot of people will be using AI in their own personal lives, for example, having a play with the technologies. I think the one thing I would say, a lot of people will explore different technologies and different tools. There probably is no one size fits all. So there's a vast range of AI tools out there. I think AI explorers as a category is really important because that's about testing the limits of what each different tool can achieve. I think that's where you start to build an idea of the capabilities. And the surprising thing for me, from a technology perspective, is I thought when we looked at implementing AI, it would be all about the technology, and actually it's not. It's about realizing the benefits you can get from it and then starting to think strategically about how you can employ those within your organization. And I think that's the big shift. It's as Ross says, it's no longer about the technology, it's about the possibilities. So that's quite an exciting shift. And I think as you graduate left to right through this group into AI builders, you start to realize that. And then you're starting in the AI first movers category, you're getting the benefits, you're leveraging that technology in the right way and getting advantage. So I think, yeah, lots to play here with, but yeah, starting at the beginning absolutely is the best place to jump in and explore what the tools can do.
So as you think about that, I know you've got kind of 8, whether you're calling them elements or steps, whatever, you've got 8 things that you want to kind of talk about. Is that where you want to go and kind of start to say, how do you start taking those steps and maybe have a bit of that readiness checklist as such?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something we use internally. So when we're looking at a project, we're working with a client and we're trying to understand, is AI the solution? And I think it's very tempting to think that it's an expansive technology. It's very broad in what it can do. Is it the right tool for this particular use case that somebody's looking to achieve? So we use this as a bit of a framework to say, let's go through the steps and make sense that is AI the right tool here.
And I guess you're starting I guess where we kind of see often companies failing is trying to lead with the tech rather than defining the problem statement. You know, we've got a new bit of kit, it's AI that we've been given, and they start there rather than really defining that problem statement properly is one of the key areas, isn't it?
Yeah, I think for us, it's being really clear on what the outcome you want is. So, you know, are you looking to reduce costs? Are you looking to automate a repetitive process that is continually happening within the business? Are you looking to accelerate what you currently do within the business? You know, being really clear about what the outcome is, and then looking at the criteria. How are you actually going to measure that? You know, what is the meaningful benefit to the business? How are you tracking success on that? And does that align with where you're going strategically as an organization? A lot of these might be quick wins and they help achieve gains, but are they moving the dial in terms of what your organization is trying to achieve?
Yeah, and for those who feel they're more proficient here so far, they've probably done a good job of that. And I think if you haven't started, it's probably about what are the maybe 2 or 3 areas that you want to explore that could really add value rather than trying to swallow everything at once. I guess, you know, we've put at the top there, Nick, a little bit around when AI may not be the answer. And I guess when you're coming
Yeah.
up with this one, if you're not coming up with clear outcomes, if you're not able to really define what that success criteria is, or your use case isn't well defined at this moment in time, it's maybe not the right time to push ahead with AI. Is that fair?
Yeah, and I think those are very much that's the red flag, and we can say, okay, we need to do a bit more work and preparation up front to make sure that we can actually employ those tools successfully.
Yeah. Obviously, a big thing that we hear all the time is about my data's not in a good state, or I'm not quite sure how to map my data, etc. So, what would you say around that in terms of thinking about AI projects at this moment in time?
Yeah, I get a lot of uh, clients who would think, oh, this is a big onerous task. It can be painful to undertake anything involving the data, or our entire IT team up in knots. I think it's really all this is looking at where does your data live? Is it content? Is it business resource? Is it information? Is it structured? So is it AI accessible? If we gave that as a sort of a training material to an AI, could it understand the data? Is it labeled? Does it have context? Does it have titles, headings, metadata associated with it? Because that means the AI can use that effectively. You might need to do a bit of consolidation. So your data might be siloed in different platforms. You might need to leverage APIs and connectivity to get that centrally into a single database. There could be some manual steps involved, but there's probably some technologies we can employ to accelerate that. So it's really just that step, that foundation, making sure you've got a solid foundation to be able to build upon with the tooling.
Yeah, and again, guys, if you get any questions we go through, please type them into the Q&A box and we'll make sure that we get to them. I think, again, there's some flags here in terms of maybe when you don't have enough historical data, there's risks with using it on training data set, essentially, or your data is inconsistent or not structured properly. There'd be flags about when not to, as you kind of called out, you're talking about the positive side of that, but if you've not got that, maybe it's time to rethink whether it's ready for an AI implementation or not. In terms
Yeah.
of trends and patterns, right? What would you say around that?
So I think with this one, it's very much saying, because AI is very good at identifying patterns in data. It can give you trends. It can very quickly summarize large amounts of data. But does the task actually have a pattern in it? Is the data supporting that? Again, we talked about, do you have enough historical data to prove that? Are you able to say I've got enough, volume data to actually be able to do that. Again, could those things be determined in a simpler way? So could it be a rules-based piece that doesn't actually require an AI technology to make that assessment?
So again, there's some flags that we say, if there's no meaningful pattern in the data, again, are you ready to implement AI or not? Okay, perfect. Another one that's kind of key is about, I guess, that task sizing versus business value. We get it all the time in terms of, I guess, how much is this going to cost? And
Yeah,
the business value from automating a process or engaging customers in a different way.
this is actually one of my favorite ones because we get asked this one the most. So I think for me, it's looking at the business use case. Does the task happen frequently enough to automate? If you're looking at business workflow automation, for example, are you going to get genuine savings and value out of doing that work? Can you measure the impact of automating it? Can you measure the impact of AI summarization, for example, or AI pattern analysis or trends? And then looking at that and saying, okay, that does make sense. It's going to be a frequently used task. We can make cost savings across the business, or it gives us accelerated time to market.
Yeah, and I guess kind of good use cases around that would be things like we're working with a tour operator just now around where they've not got agents in there at this moment in time. So how do they supplement where they do have live agents to be able to speak to versus AI agents that can answer the majority of questions that a guest may have, etc. Okay. In terms of flags on that, we're saying, basically, let's make sure there's a return on investment and identify that, because again, if we don't get that part right, even if it's the best technical spec, we might not get it past whoever's holding the purse strings through the CFO or whatever. Okay. Human in the loop. We spoke about this a little bit in terms of the setup, in terms of if that human element is 70% of the transformation project. What would you say around this, Nick?
This is about your subject matter experts who understand your content and your data. So for me, I often analogize employing AI is like employing a person. So you're going to need to train them. You're going to need to give them structure and an understanding of what the outcomes are. And that's through prompt engineering. The people who are actually in best place to do that with us as a technical vendor are the people who work with that content, who work with that audience regularly, because they will understand nuances that we would not have sight of in terms of the target audiences, the personas, what those people need to achieve by using AI tools. Whether that's an internal or external audience, the same applies. So for me, again, some of the red flags here would be, do you have the right people in place to be able to support that? Or it could be that AI might be not suitable because there's a highly subjective analysis to be made. So you might have ethical judgments, for example. So use of AI in legal cases, well, certainly it's being employed. There are a lot of checks and balances to be able to leverage that effectively.
And I think we've seen a number of situations where certainly kind of maybe larger enterprise organizations, they've bought a load of like co-pilot licenses, for example, that's been approved, but they've just not got the adoption because they haven't quite sold the story as to the benefits of AI or given people the support to implement. So it's important that you take people on that journey with you as part of that. And we'll talk about that in a second or two further. So running through these, technical feasibility and cost of ownership is one that we've called out.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is really, do you have the infrastructure and the expertise to deploy the AI tooling? If not, do you have the right vendor to be able to support you with that? There, for a lot of organizations, will be constraints around use of the data as well. So if you're using your customers' data, you'll have GDPR and data processing concerns, data protection concerns, and security to consider. So how do you make sure that data is properly protected? What rights and agreements have you got in place to be able to do that effectively with your AI model provider as well?
Again,
I think also,
yeah,
exactly that. So from a technical perspective, this one comes up a lot. So if you've got legacy IT platforms, that can be a big barrier to be able to achieve this with modern tooling. There might be some work required to remove that data from its current platform or migrate it across. Integration costs, depending on how your digital estate, if your content is in multiple places and you haven't consolidated it, there's going to be work done to do that. So it could be complex, it could be expensive, depending on how that looks. So best to take a view of that, a holistic view of the organization's IT estate and say, how do we make that happen?
But that's where the opportunity is as well, isn't it? Where you've got data in different places. How do you pull that together using AI and leveraging APIs and platforms, etc., to be able to create a centralized experience? A massive opportunity there to streamline things and get value from what you've already got, essentially. Nick, you did cover this, I think, slightly in the previous one, but obviously there's
Yeah.
legal and regulatory considerations just now. I mean, ethically, where do we want to use AI as a topic that could be discussed for a lot longer than this webinar? And certainly for me, at this moment in time, I've got concerns around how do we get young people into certain job sectors if we're going to replace those roles with AI. So the creative industries, you mentioned the legal industry in terms of the paralegal type roles and stuff.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one here. What would be your flags on this one, Nick?
I'd say the biggest risk here is probably around the shadow IT aspect of this, because people are using AI in their daily lives. If you're not embracing that opportunity to give them powerful tools in their working context, there's a danger that people may go off piste and go and seek external tools to do that, which then is a risk to your IT governance, your data governance. The good news is that, I mean, it has been a rough landscape, this, and OpenAI themselves have actually been sued by the Italian government over this in terms of their position on it. Now they have a massive shift and they're embracing GDPR support. They're moving very much into that world of regulated, controlled data measures, that where they can actually lock down data, provide you with enterprise level agreements in terms of that data processing. I think we're still waiting for legislation to catch up. So obviously the EU AI Act is now out and in the wild. Also, ISO 42001 gives some good guidelines about how this can be implemented. So those are ways to do that. I think a lot, though, still hasn't changed. It's about making sure that from a data protection perspective, you've got the right agreements in place, you have the right transparency with the owners of that data, if that's your customers. Really clear on opt-ins, and you're managing that as you would any other data process. A few checks and balances just in terms of how that gets used with external parties, but that's probably true of any other technological platform.
Yeah, and then the final bit is about, for me, change as usual rather than business as usual. So how do you manage the change process? How do you make sure your staff are upskilled and have the right mindset to adopt AI pieces before rolling it out? And obviously a lack of in-house skills, etc. there would be a potential option. And how do you get the right processes in place to monitor and refine the solution as you go? It's difficult to do that alongside when you're doing the day-to-day task of running the business as well as trying to do the change stuff. But have that mindset of change as usual. Nick, we're going to send this next bit out as a kind of quick start process as a guide. We've only got a couple of minutes left, and there's a couple of questions that I want to get to from the floor. Is there anything you would say about this you want to call out quickly, but say this is going to be follow-up activity in terms of what we do as a quick start process?
Yeah, so very quickly on this one, and I'm a big fan of, when I buy a new piece of technology, I don't want to read the whole manual. I want to grab the quick start guide and get started. So I think this is really our framework to be able to enable clients to do that and get results immediately and test and learn. So this enables us to very quickly build a proof of concept for you where you can test your data and puts you in the driving seat. And that's a big shift in terms of how AI works, is that you co-collaborate with us as a technology vendor. This isn't a one and done piece. You're very much able to get learnings through the process. So we're really confident and happy with this process, because it enables our clients to get a better understanding of how they could actually do that quickly.
Yeah, as I say, we're going to send this through to you after as a bit of a guide. And again, if you want any more information from us, then please just get in touch. We've got a couple of questions that I'll answer just now from the floor. Everything that we've had gathered in from questions before and during the session, we will compile a sheet, as I said, and send that out so you've got the answers to that. And again, the website's there if you want to come to us. I'll stop sharing at this moment in time and come to the question. So, Nick, we've got one which is asking about, we're looking to build a new website. There's AI tools for that. Would you recommend, and how far do you go on that front?
Yeah, I think depends on the complexity of the website, what you're looking to achieve. I think the way I would describe AI is it's a great tool for sketching and getting ideas down, and that applies whether you're writing content or whether you're testing a concept. We use AI internally that way, so we very quickly prototype ideas when we want to explore how something might flow, or build a proof of concept application. I think it can get you part of the way there. I think that the challenge is that AI tends to not understand the big picture quite so well on a bigger project. So you might be able to get layouts done, but it probably wouldn't be something that's production ready that you could immediately deploy. But I think it's a tool to explore and get you started. It's quite valuable.
I think I'd probably put it in the same bucket as you can smell when a social media post has been AI generated. So
Yeah.
how do you put your authentic piece, put your purpose into it, get your tone of voice into it properly? Probably not going to get you there straight away with AI, but it gives you a great foundation to accelerate quicker and finalize what you want. And then the other question I'll tackle just now, because it's a pretty hot topic, this one, I think. I'll try and summarize the question into a bit of a shorter piece, but essentially, we've got someone who's saying they're seeing examples of people trusting wrong answers from LLMs. They're maybe not thinking stuff through. When's the right time to implement? What policies and guidelines should you have for people in that sense? Like, I guess for us, Nick, we talk quite a lot about the cognitive cost of AI, which is
Yeah.
where if you just take AI straight giving you the answer, then and copy and paste that into something, you can be caught out at times. So is there any guidance you would give around either policy setting and guidelines you would give to people, or around making sure you've not got that kind of laziness creeping in and we're not thinking through the kind of responses properly?
Yeah, I think a really good example of this would be something like the Google search results. So you'll see AI summaries at the top from Google when you're using it. I think obviously citations are key. We've all seen AI hallucinations when they happen, and we've seen it get confused over potential repetition of data or attributing it to the wrong source. Checking your citations, particularly when there's something at stake, is a key part of that. And I think, yeah, just being able to be a bit more rigorous. It is a shortcut in terms of what it can give us, but if we're giving anything factual, fact checking is absolutely part of the requirement. And we'll do that again, particularly if you're generating code with AI, we will always be going over that and manually checking what that is actually doing for us, and is that code usable? Are there gaps? Are there bugs?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And starting out, first of all, with a policy and guidelines as to what tools to use. From my perspective, if you're not in control, I think it's like 70% of workers are using Chat GPT at work just now.
Yeah.
That will be authorized, but how do you know it's bringing back the search results that A, are correct, or B, represent your tone of voice on something? And I think that's where we work with organizations to control and context and point the AI to the data sets that you're in control of and are giving the right responses, rather than trusting it to go into the big ether of the internet and potentially make up answers when it doesn't get the answer that it's necessarily seeking for. So it just fills that gap. So it's things around that I think we could be, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you've not used it before, I mean, be aware you can very much corral the training sets so the AI is responding with your data, your information, your context. And we can prompt the AI to be able to respond according to tone of voice or avoid specific topics. So you have a great deal of control about what that experience looks like. So it's about being really clear about what you want to achieve with it. But I think, yeah, absolutely, it's not a Wild West. That I think the degree of control you have is quite granular.
And we've had somebody chip into the conversation earlier about the use of AI to generate websites, saying that Google can pick up on your generated code. So just remember that
Yes.
your ranking will suffer using implementing the code. So I guess our approach just now is design to get to prototype quickly and sign off, but not to implement code for websites and other digital products would be a stance we would take essentially.
Yeah, I think it's a similar thing to writing content with ChatGPT. You can very quickly get to an outline, which will give you some ideas, but I wouldn't put that out verbatim. Same with SEO copy. I think there's a risk there as well. But yeah, it's a useful tool, but it shouldn't be used as a direct replacement for the process.
Cool. We've ran over slightly, Nick, so we will call a halt to it there. Thanks everyone for their participation. Thanks, Nick, for your insight. We will follow up, as I say, with the kind of checklist and the starting point that we use. and with the FAQs from today. So if there's anything else you need, you know where we are, please get in touch. And thanks for joining, and hopefully you'll join us on another webinar soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.